All right, so let's go over how to put band resistance on a bench press. So there's a few ways that you can do it, and I'll go over some of the ones that I prefer. I personally prefer, if you do have band pegs available to you on a squat rack or a bench press rack, putting them in the band holes and separating them between 6 to 8 holes, depending on like what your preference is here. You would just want to make sure the center is right where the line of press is. What you're going to do is you can actually use thicker bands for this. If you use thicker bands the other way I'll show you, it tends to get almost exponentially hard. So what you'll do is actually just wrap the band around the peg, and then you're going to pull it through the center. All right, and then from here you're just going to bring the band up and put it on the bar. So you kind of have like a triangle here, and what that does is it just shortens up the band. So if you have like a longer band, you're kind of dealing with like a shorter portion of the band, so that when you do perform the press, you can have consistent band tension throughout the entire press. So you don't want to hit the bottom of your bench press and there's going to be absolutely no band tension, because then that band's no longer accelerating you downward. A little bit different versus chains, where you want the chains to actually completely unload. All right, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, you would have to use thinner bands for this. If you use thicker ones, it does tend to get exponentially hard. So if you have the post on your power rack like this, where it's elevated off the floor, you can just take a thin mini band, put it through the center here, okay? And it's just double looped on the bar like that. And when you do it this way, with smaller bands, it's still pretty smooth. But if you ended up using a band like this, you really wouldn't be able to, because the band tension would just be like absolutely ridiculous. It would be significantly more at the top and significantly less at the bottom. So when you're ever using bands on a bench, you do it this way, you're probably just gonna be using a thinner band. But you can double up those bands, where maybe you have two mini bands. And if you don't have like a post like this, you can use a dumbbell. That works pretty well.